announcing that we're live on YouTube. And begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert White, Council Member at Large and Chair of the Committee on Government Operations and Facilities. Today is Thursday, September 22nd, 2022, and we are meeting virtually on Zoom. The time is now 4:11 p.m., and I'm calling to order this additional meeting of the committee. We have a quorum consisting of at-large Council Member Henderson, Ward 1 Council Member Brianne Nadeau, and Ward 2 Council Member Brooke Pinto. Today we will be considering three bills introduced by three different members of this committee. First, from Councilmember Henderson, we have Bill 24-726, the Enhancing Reproductive Health Protections Amendment Act. Then from Councilmember Nadeau, we have Bill 24-808, the Human Rights Sanctuary Amendment Act. I'm grateful for my colleagues' leadership in introducing these bills, and I'm excited to move them forward. After that, we will consider a bill that I introduced, Bill 24-824, the Pride Plates Amendment Act. The first two measures on today's agenda both seek to fortify the district's protections for bodily autonomy rights, including the right to abortion. Abortion is a human right, and it is under threat in many states. The Supreme Court's recent decision in the Dobbs case, which overturned its precedents that had recognized abortion as a constitutional right, has enabled rapid, destructive, and far-reaching new restrictions on abortion in other parts of the country. It also raises the possibility that other important federal rights will weaken in the coming years. In the District of Columbia, we work hard to protect abortion access. Our laws are already some of the most progressive in this regard. But Councilmember Henderson and Councilmember Nadeau have identified some gaps in our defenses and written bills to close them. This is part of a whole of government approach to maintaining our status as a human rights sanctuary. I've introduced additional measures to avoid encroachments on abortion access in the district, and those should hopefully be moving through other committees soon. One last thing before we focus squarely on the first bill, I want to briefly acknowledge that the committee prints of bills 24-726 and 24-808 that we circulated yesterday, actually I think we recirculated this morning, took quite a bit of are quite a bit different from the introduced versions. However, the core functions of each bill are preserved. The reasons for the makeover are rather technical and are explained in great detail in our committee reports. I won't belabor them here. The short version is that both bills originally sought to amend the same section of our premier local anti-discrimination statute, the Human Rights Act of 1977. But we quickly realized that even that existing Human Rights Act section was subject to some uncertainty when it came to enforcement rights. So we worked with our excellent Associate General Counsel, Valerie Nadal, her colleague, David Go, Director Nin Kine, and her colleagues at the Office of Human Rights, the Office of the Attorney General, and the authors of both bills to shuffle some statutory language around and situate it all outside the Human Rights Act, complete with some new enforcement provisions. We've also circulated a document that we are calling a unified comparative print, which shows how the two bills will work together if they both passed. I intend to include it as an attachment to both reports. Now, discussing Bill 24-726, the Enhancing Reproductive Health Protections Amendment Act of 2022. This bill will prohibit the district of government from penalizing anyone for providing, dispensing, administering, or transferring possession of self-managed abortion products, that is, abortion medications that people obtain for themselves other than through ordinary healthcare system channels. Medications are ordinarily subject to various state-level controls, and I appreciate the hard work of DC Health and our health occupation licensing boards in implementing those controls. In this case, given the extreme threats to abortion access, we believe it is appropriate and necessary to make clear that our government will not penalize anyone for working to make abortion medication available. The bill also prohibits local penalties against people who assist others with seeking, inducing, or attempting to induce their own abortions. In the committee print, we've made some additional clarifying edits, including to the underlying statute that the bill originally set out to expand on, but again, the overall effect is very much the same. I want to thank Carl Filler and his colleagues at DC Health for helping us think through these clarifications. Mikhail Rickberg and Gabrielle Rogoff from Councilmember Henderson's office have also played very important roles in getting this measure ready for markup. With that, I will open the floor to discussion of Bill 24-726. Is there discussion? Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a second. Okay. Thank you, Chairperson White, for holding this markup today. My bill, the Enhancing Reproductive Health Protections Amendment Act of 2022, along with Councilmember Nadeau's bill, the Human Rights Sanctuary Amendment Act of 2022, are crucial pieces of legislation that take the necessary steps to reaffirm the district's commitment as a jurisdiction that values unrestricted reproductive health access. My bill in particular affirms the district's position that of a government non-interference with an individual's reproductive health decision and its refusal to interfere with or penalize individuals who exercise reproductive health choice. With the escalation of conservatives' goals of stripping away long-established rights from vulnerable people, and women, it is essential that we assert our commitment to their safety and autonomy. The committee clarifies that the district will not penalize an individual assisting another individual who is seeking, inducing, or attempting to induce their own abortion, that the district will not penalize the individual for acts or omissions that may impact a pregnancy not prohibited by district law, and that the district will not penalize an individual who is assisting someone. Finally, it clarifies that any individual who provides, dispenses, administers, or transfers possession of a product used for self-managed abortions in accordance with district law and health and safety restrictions shall not be penalized. I want to say how much I appreciate the committee's hard work over the recess to make the edits to this print that puts us on solid legal footing while making important clarifications to the bill that maintain its original intent. We want to be abundantly clear in our local laws that in the District of Columbia, we are a haven for anyone who is seeking unrestricted access to reproductive health care. When this Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, they effectively guaranteed that some people will be harmed for attempting to make the best choices for their health care. A person may struggle with health issues related to a pregnancy for a variety of reasons, and in such cases, they should have access to the full spectrum of safe and compassionate reproductive health care without limitations imposed by politicians. The goal would be to codify Roe. However, until we are able to do so nationally, we must endeavor to provide solutions to protect our residents and visitors who come here that conduct self-managed abortions. I so appreciate the collaboration that has occurred with my colleagues, staff members, the Office of the Attorney General, and the executive to ensure that we are able to achieve the best solution possible given the district's limited autonomy, one that makes abundantly clear that the district is committed to protecting reproductive choice. So thank you, Chairperson White, and I look forward to supporting all the bills on the agenda today.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Pinto.
Thank you so much, Chairman White, for you and your team's hard work on this bill. And thank you to my colleague, Councilmember Henderson, for your leadership on strengthening the district's protections for our fundamental human rights. Earlier this year, as you mentioned, by overturning Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court undermined a fundamental human right to bodily autonomy and self-determination for women, girls, and all people who experience pregnancy. And in light of this catastrophic rollback, I am proud to stand with you all today to fight for and protect the right to choose in the district. This bill codifies and reaffirms the district's commitment to protect the right for all individuals to access abortion and other reproductive health care, and to choose the care that is right for them, their families, and their healthcare needs. This bill also codifies protections for individuals who assist with abortion care and those who choose to self-manage abortion. Abortion is still legal in the district, and I'll continue to fight alongside you all to protect that right. This bill is an important first step. So thank you again, Councilmember Henderson and Chairman White.
Thank you very much. Anything further on this bill? I move the committee print and report for Bill 24-726, the Enhancing Reproductive Health Protections Amendment Act of 2022, with leave for staff to make technical and conforming changes. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it unanimously. The motion passes. Now we will consider Bill 24-808, the Human Rights Sanctuary Amendment Act of 2022. This measure will prohibit the district government from facilitating interstate investigations and proceedings against various types of conduct, including abortion, that are lawful in DC and that are or may soon be under threat from other jurisdictions. In the committee print, we've added a new clearance check mechanism to help the Superior Court avoid inadvertently issuing subpoenas that violate this protection, similar to a step that California recently took. When a person's exercise of those same rights is used to secure a court judgment against the person in a way that touches on DC's jurisdiction, then this bill will also allow the person to go to court for a separate lawsuit and recover funds and other appropriate remedies from whomever secured the judgment against them. This is similar to a mechanism that Connecticut recently created for its residents. I understand that Kate Black, Lori Insworth, and Ann Hollander from the Office of the Attorney General all participated in preparing this bill for introduction, and they have all been a huge help in preparing it for markup as well. Thanks as well to Dan Passon on Councilmember Nadeau's team for his work on this measure and for convening legislative working group sessions on reproductive justice more broadly. With that, I open the floor to discussion on Bill 24-808. Is there discussion? Councilmember Nadeau.
Thank you, Chairman White. The work that the committee put into this legislation is extraordinary. And because of that, the committee print is an extraordinary bill. We've spoken time and again about why this legislation is necessary and what I intended to do when I introduced it. We're looking to protect district values. We're looking to make sure that conduct that's legal here and that takes place here is protected here, whether that's getting an abortion, marrying the person you love, or receiving the gender-affirming care that you need. Today, though, I want to emphasize some of the ways that the committee took the version of this legislation I introduced and made it even stronger. First, the committee listened to domestic violence advocates to make sure that no one who coerces someone into receiving an abortion is protected from liability under district law. The requirement that an individual give their voluntary consent to an abortion is fundamental to the equitable functioning of this legislation, and I'm glad to see it included. Second, a more expansive definition of gender-affirming care ensures that everyone who needs professional support to live most fully as themselves can find sanctuary in the district. Third, and most importantly, a new section of the bill updates the Uniform Interstate Depositions and Discovery Act to require that parties seeking local enforcement of a subpoena affirm that they are not doing so to advance a proceeding seeking to punish protected conduct. This last provision truly makes the district a safe haven for marriage and reproductive freedom. And by prohibiting the clerk of Superior Court from validating other state subpoenas seeking to gather information about protected conduct in the district, the committee gave this legislation one of its most robust and important enforcement mechanisms. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to your staff for devoting the time and effort to get this bill right. You have gone all in to protect the rights of district residents after Dobbs, and I have no doubt that because you moved so quickly to mark up a complicated bill with a lot of moving parts, the district is closer to living up to its values and protecting all of its residents. I look forward to joining my colleagues in voting to advance this legislation today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pinto.
Thank you so much. I similarly wanted to thank you again, Chairman White, and your team for all of your work on this bill, and thank Councilmember Nadeau for introducing such an important measure. And we've seen in the months since the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the subsequent actions that many states have taken to limit access to reproductive health care and gender affirming care for women, transgender people, and non-binary people across the nation have been robbed of the ability to decide what's best for them, their families, and their futures. And I'm really proud that as other states move to severely limit access to these fundamental rights and healthcare needs, that we here in the district will proudly serve as a sanctuary city for those whose rights have been denied. People across the country, particularly those who are poor and persons of color, are already being severely impacted and harmed by this decision. Some are being forced to travel extraordinary distances in order to access care, and others are facing a decision between foregoing healthcare or being subject to criminal or civil liability. This bill will require that the district to rightfully decline to participate in interstate investigations or judicial proceedings that have the potential to infringe upon the exercise of reproductive freedom, gender identity or expression, or sexual orientation. To be clear, the district will not be complicit in the actions of other states that choose to deny Americans these fundamental rights. This bill will also create a private right of action against the district if it facilitates such interstate investigations or interferes with any person's right to access these fundamental rights as protected by district law. So thank you both again for standing up for our values and for people who really need our help and care right now.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? With that, I move the committee print and report for Bill 24-808, the Human Rights Sanctuary Amendment Act of 2022, with leave for staff to make technical and conforming changes. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please indicate by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion passes. Finally, we'll consider Bill 24-824, the Pride Plates Amendment Act. We as a committee have already voted on this legislation in another format when we recommended including it in the Budget Support Act. So I'll be very brief. This bill would direct the Department of Motor Vehicles to develop license plates showing support for the LGBTQ community and direct funds from the sales of those plates into a fund that the Office of LGBTQ Affairs can use to enhance LGBTQ community support programs. One reason this didn't move in the budget was that there was a concern that if the district puts some so-called political messages on license plates, then we might have to have an obligation to accept other political messages, such as anti-abortion messages. I have a couple of quick responses to that. First, LGBTQ rights aren't more inherently political than any other policy choices just because conservative politicians have decided to weaponize them. Second, we've spent some more time kicking the tires, pun intended, and it turns out that there's a Supreme Court case directly on point confirming that we as a legislature can mandate whatever specific set of license plate designs we want, because that's government speech, not a public forum for others' speech. The case is Walker v. Texas Division, Sons of Confederate Veterans, Inc., and it's discussed in the committee report. Thanks to Valerie Nadal in the Office of the General Counsel for helping us with this analysis. Is there discussion on Bill 24-824? Councilmember Pinto.
Thank you so much, Chairman White. Again, supporting the LGBTQ plus community is fundamental to my values. I know the values of the committee and our entire city. And with these values in mind, the Office of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Questioning Affairs was created in 2005 and has been a real leader in LGBTQ plus rights in the nation. This office works to empower young LGBTQ plus community leaders, remove barriers for business owners, build a cohesive community across all 8 wards, and provide resources for at-risk LGBTQ plus populations. And although there have been great strides in rights, protections, and support over the 17 years since this office was founded, there's still much work to do. This office becomes even more significant when looking at recent political threats made against the rights of LGBTQ community, as well as many incidents of discrimination and violence against this community across our nation. So I'm glad to see this bill will establish an independent source of funding for the Office of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Questioning Affairs, so it can continue to provide the vital support and programming so needed now. So thank you for your work on this and look forward to supporting this today.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Pinto, who has participated in every hearing and spoken on every bill in the committee today. So super committee member. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I move the committee print and report for Bill 24-824, the Pride Plates Amendment Act of 2022, with leave for staff to make technical and conforming changes. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please indicate by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the motion passes. The business before the committee is concluded. The time is now 4:31 p.m. and this additional meeting of the Committee on Government Operations and Facilities is concluded. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.